Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Christopher Bell. I'm the president of the Moody Park Residents Association, and we are really happy and thrilled to be hosting this all-candidates meeting tonight, November 10th, the day before Remembrance Day. It's a remarkable thing when you think of tomorrow represents democracy and the fight for democracy. That tonight we have to my right 20 brave souls, council candidates, who are willing to put their names and fortunes and goodwill and live in the fishbowl called politic. So it's just thrilling to see this. To my left, 4 gentlemen who represent the future leadership of the city of New Westminster. They're here tonight to, to debate the issues, that you can firm your opinions, know who you're going to vote for. But on November 15th, next Saturday, you all are going to do what? Vote. So without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce tonight's moderator, Mr. Daniel Fontaine, renowned throughout the Lower Mainland and the country. As a political moderator, he ran a fantastic blog called City Caucus, which followed the darings and do's of civic politicians in the city of Vancouver. It's a pleasure to have him here tonight to lead us through the evening. It's going to be a great show. This is what democracy is all about, and it's fantastic to see you all here tonight. And before we start the evening, and before I give it over to Mr. Fontaine, I have the pastor of this fine church, Pastor Tim Stewart, will be giving a brief prayer, because when I send out a plaintive message to the wilderness of the internet saying, would someone please be able to help me out on a facility to sponsor an all-candidates meeting, Pastor Stewart said, I happen to have a church that happens to be on your border, come along. And he happens to live in the Moody Park neighborhood, one of the best neighborhoods in all of New Westminster. So Pastor Stewart, if you'd come here, please, and thank you for having us in your church. Thank you to Lawrence, the volunteer, for all of your work tonight. Pastor Stewart.
Hi, as you heard, my name is Tim Stewart, and I'm really looking forward to getting to know the future leaders of the city that I've recently moved to. And at such a time as this, a certain scripture comes to mind that I'd like to share briefly before praying. 1 Timothy 2:1-6. First of all, then, I urge that supplications, prayers, intercessions, and thanksgivings be made for all people, for kings and all those who are in high positions, that we may lead a peaceful and quiet life, godly and dignified in every way. This is good, and it is pleasing in the sight of God our Savior, who desires all people to be saved and to come to the knowledge of truth. For there is one God and one mediator between God and men, the man Christ Jesus, who gave himself as a ransom for all, which is the testimony given at the proper time. With this in mind, if I may, I'd like to pray for you all now. Heavenly Father, I acknowledge that you hold this world in your hands. You are Lord, and may your good will be done on this earth and in this city. I pray that you would greatly bless these public servants who you allow us to elect and make them a great blessing. Please equip them with wisdom and love to serve together well. Please protect and sustain them and their families from stress and harm. In all things, may they know your peace, and may they be powerful force for peace and justice in this city. I pray this for your glory in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Have to adjust this a bit down for me. These guys are a little bit taller. Hello, my name is Daniel Fontaine, and I am a New Westminster resident, and I'm going to be your moderator for tonight. I want to thank, first of all, the Moody Parks Residents Association for hosting this event and for allowing us to gather here tonight and to hear from the various politicians who would like to lead our city over the next 4 years. Before I introduce our guest panelists tonight, I'd like to say a couple of things in respect to the format and the tone of the debates. My job as moderator is to make sure that we do our best to keep on time. So that's my job, to make sure that you guys get out of here at a decent hour. If any of the candidates have ever watched me chair a meeting, they know that I watch the clock like a train conductor. So we're going to be on time tonight. Let me also say that while I appreciate that these debates can get passionate, as moderator, I also reserve the right to ensure that the debates remain respectful, free of personal attacks, which I'm sure there will be none tonight, and most importantly, that our audience gets the most out of the next 2 hours. To that end, let me thank all of the candidates for putting their name forward. Regardless of what you think of their politics, we should be grateful that these men and women have put their names forward to help support our local democratic process. So now, the rules for engagement. Our evening is broken into 2 parts. The first part will be approximately 1 hour long and will involve the 4 men vying to become New Westminster's next mayor. After the mayoral debate is over, we will bring on stage those individuals wanting to take 1 of 6 council spots. We then hope to wrap up around 9:15 or so. And if you thought as audience members that you were going to get off the hook and just come here and watch, that's not going to happen. There will be volunteers asking for your questions from the floor. They'll have little index cards. Just wave. There's a couple of volunteers here. You'll see them. And if you do have a question, please give it to them, and it will be brought up to our panelists. Those questions are going to be gathered in what we call real time, and they will be handed up to the front. If you're watching us tonight on newwest.tv, you too can participate in the debate using the hashtag MPRA, otherwise known as Moody Park Residents Association Debate. So MPRA Debate. You can pose your questions online. Just take your smartphone out and tweet it, and we'll try our best to use a couple of the tweeted questions that we've received this evening. So before we get to the opening questions, let me introduce our guest panelists. Bob Mackin is a North Vancouver-based journalist who has reported for local, regional, national, and international media outlets since he began as a journalist in 1990. He currently works for business in Vancouver and is a regular guest on the Sport Market on Team 1040 Radio in Vancouver. Mackin is known as an independent and well-researched reporter on the sports and political scene in BC. From 1998 to 2008, Mackin was the sports columnist for the Vancouver Courier, and during this time he also wrote for a number of publications including Vancouver 24 Hours and the Tyee. Damon Beattie is the creator of Surrey's online media channel, Surrey 604. Originally from Sackville, New Brunswick, this veteran blogger is a visual designer and marketing and media specialist. Damon loves technology, travel, and photography, and he's lectured in marketing at BCIT and Brighton College. Is also a big promoter of global information and communication technology education for CCI Learning. I want to thank the both of you tonight for participating. Now for what we've all been waiting for, the final big debate of this campaign. In the first part of the debate, which will last for about half an hour, each of the candidates will be provided with 2 minutes to make an opening statement. This will be followed by a question and answer session. Each of the candidates will be posed a question from our panelists. Neither the candidates nor myself have been made aware of what those questions will be. Each candidate will then have 1 minute to respond, followed by a 2-minute free-for-all. That should be fun. Each of the candidates there is a timer in the front, and they will be given the amount of time that they have. And when you're running out of time, could we get a sound of what happens when they? Okay, so you can't miss that. So that's going to be your little nudge to tell you that time is running out. If you don't listen with that, we're literally going to cut off your mics through newwest.tv. So I'm sure you'll be okay. So now let's get underway. On stage, let me introduce the 4 candidates. To my immediate left is Jonathan Cote. We have James Crosty, Vladimir Krasnogor, and Wayne Wright. We're going to start with Mr. Cote. You have 2 minutes for your opening statement.
Well, thank you. I want to start by thanking everyone for coming out here today. It's a pleasure to be in a room full of people that care so passionately about the future of our city. My name is Jonathan Cote, and I'm running to be the next mayor of New Westminster. I'm running for mayor because I want our city to reach its full potential. It's time for new leadership in our city. It's time for fresh ideas and a new perspective. I've been honored to serve New Westminster City Council for the past 9 years. During this time, our city has changed a lot, and I'm proud to have been a part of that change. But this election is not about the past 10 years. This election is about the future. I want to lead a New Westminster that has a strong local economy, one where local business can thrive and succeed, one where residents have an opportunity to work in the community in which they live. I want to lead a New Westminster that has a transportation system that works, one where residents have transportation options and can conveniently travel through their city, one where community livability is not compromised by regional traffic. And finally, I want to lead a New Westminster that cares, one where a diverse group of people from a variety of different backgrounds can come together to build build a better community. I know if we work together, we can build a new Westminster that has a bright future. So on November 15th, mark your ballot X for Jonathan X. Cote. Thank you.
Good evening. For over 25 years, my work on issues like rail noise, coal, exports, spending, transparency, borrowing, and communication have now become part of our city's culture. That's leadership. Speaking for the average citizen, that's leadership. As the only person to meet the governor of Wyoming to discuss the environmental health impacts of coal at Surrey Fraser Docks, that's also leadership. A platform with short and long-term options for gridlock, that's leadership. Building bridges between political machines, that's balance and leadership. Turning the Royal City into a positive working partner with all levels of government is also balance and leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm asking you to vote Crosty for mayor, and I look forward to debating the real issues tonight that face New Westminster and all of its citizens. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you everyone for coming, and thank you the organizer for having this meeting. For independent candidates like me, meetings like this provide invaluable opportunity to meet voters, and put my ideas across. My name is Vladimir Krasnogor. The accent you hear is Russian, mostly Russian, a little bit of German. I have lived in Brow of the Hill for the last 20 years. I have been involved in New Westminster in different social activities and community events for maybe 10 years. I'm an electrical engineer. Why I am running and why I'm getting involved, I think I do it for the same reason as you do, that you took time and came to this meeting. Just like you, I don't believe that city goes in the right direction and lives to its full potential. I believe that if nothing is changed, that the next 4 years will be same as the previous years and years, and the traffic will be getting worse, and the taxes will be getting higher, and the relationship with other communities will deteriorate, and city facilities like the pool and library will keep deteriorating too. I believe city needs innovative solutions, fresh approach, and if you agree with me, I see only one way to achieve it is for the voters in this election to elect all independent council and all independent school board and elect a mayor, independent mayor who will work with them. And if you do that, you'll be very pleasantly surprised how better the city will be in 4 years. Thank you very much.
Now for Mr. Wright.
Well, thank you very much, and it is a pleasure to be here tonight. And as I listen to my opponents, I think they've said everything for me, because that's what I've been doing for the past 12 years. But I'm really particularly pleased to see tonight, and in the audience, we've got young people. We've got young people that are going to learn about our system and how important it is to come here tonight and see the people who want to lead you, that they want to get you a new school, that want to fix the traffic, that want to do affordable housing, that want to make your city the best city you could possibly live in not only British Columbia, but maybe in Canada and the world. So when you're here hearing us and seeing us, you'll see those people that want to make this happen. Ladies and gentlemen, I think I have been making that happen. Don't listen to me. Read the newspaper on page H10 of the Vancouver Sun. You do not get on that page. You do not get on that page unless you've done something and done it properly. And what does it say? The Royal City's downtown is reawakening. And what it says is what's happening in our city. And what it tells you is what's happening and why it's being done. It's because it's a plan, folks. That plan started 12 years ago. I brought that plan to the city, and we're going to follow it. We're on the road to prosperity. We're on the road to making things work. And what you need is a leader. You need a person that can go to the different levels of government. You need a person that knows what's been happening, and you don't have to train them, okay? You spent your money on me, I'm there, I'm trained, and I'm ready to keep going. So give me one more chance, and I will be there for you, and we will have the good dance, okay? Thanks.
Well, thanks again to all the candidates for keeping within the 2-minute time frame. Now we're going to move over to the media panel, and I'm going to ask Mr. Bob Mackin to pose his question, the first question, to Jonathan Cote.
Thank you. The winners of the election on Saturday will be in office for 4 years, and the next election will not be until 2018. That means you'll have more power than the people will have power. What do you propose when you get in office to give more power back to the people? Could it be something like a lobbyist registry, a citizens assembly, maybe even allow the citizens to choose which one of the city councillors in Westminster goes on the Metro Vancouver board, or another measure to give power to the people?
Well, thank you very much for the question. This reminds me of a discussion I had with a resident very early on in this campaign. And this resident said, I loved what's happened in New Westminster over the past 10 years, but I don't feel like I've been a part of that. So in response to that, I've released a full platform to improve public engagement, because I think the City of New Westminster can do a better job in how we engage with our residents. I think it shouldn't just be going out to the community. It should actually be collaborating with the community in our decision-making process. So I would like to see us look at participatory budgeting and engage the community in the budget decisions that we have as a city. I think the city needs to do a better job of actually getting out where people are. I think gone are the days where you can put up a few poster boards and sit at City Hall and call that public engagement. We need to get out at the festivals. We need to get out in the neighborhoods.
Thank you, Mr. Cote. Mr. Crosty, you have 1 minute. 1 minute.
That's a really, really pertinent question, especially with a 4-year term. And these gentlemen to my right and left have had 9 and 12 years to communicate with the people. I'm proposing some specific things. 1, every 2 or 3 months, depending upon the schedule, I want to do a town hall meeting where you can come and you can meet us in a circular way that you can communicate directly to your councillors and your mayor. That's taking it to the people. 2, I'm proposing to set up an ombudsman office for the mayor outside of City Hall in the short term so that you can go somewhere where you can feel comfortable. I've heard too many times that people are intimidated when they go into City Hall, and this is stemming right from the top. Too much power breeds too much contempt. So I'm about doing some concrete things to help people that they can talk to us, and eventually we don't have to have these outside houses. You can come to City Hall, feel welcome, everybody will feel welcome, and you'll have a chance to express your opinion. Thank you.
Mr. Councillor?
I am very familiar with this question personally. Over the last 2 years, I came to council and made a presentation maybe 7, 8 times. And each time, they looked at me, they smiled, they pretend to listen, sometimes they ask a question, but nothing happened. Not a single time anyone would come back to me after my presentation and give me a feedback of what they are planning to do and whether I have accomplished anything. So the first thing what I will do, if someone considers the issue so important, they come on Monday evening, wait sometimes half an hour to talk to council for 5 minutes. That will be recorded and will be given proper attention. And that person definitely will hear from the staff and will be asked for more information, and action will be taken. Another thing I will do, I'll give more authority to the advisory committees. Thank you.
Mr. Wright?
Well, thank you very much. And again, let's go back over the past 12 years. I was the first mayor to bring a mayor's budget committee, and this was made up of citizens. They can come. They've been invited. We have a residents association. And you that are sitting here now, that's where you should go to represent your part of the city, and they will then represent it to us, and then we will go back and make the changes if they're decided that that's what we're going to do. I think the important thing that you want to make sure is that you don't bog down everything, because everybody has a chance to speak. We do listen to you. The council listens to you. You've got one of the most, I think, exciting and greatest staffs that there is in the Lower Mainland. They listen to you. You send us the emails, they go in automatically, and we do answer the questions. So as far as going back out into the community, I think we're doing that now. I think we can always improve, but the point is we are moving forward, and the reason we're moving forward is because it does work.
Now, at this portion of the debate, it's a wide open floor for 2 minutes, and each of the candidates can throw in whatever they'd like.
Well, the use of social media has become an important part of the dialogue, and I participate that quite extensively. And we also need to incorporate Facebook, and we need to incorporate the things that help you communicate. Part of the issue I have at current council is some delegates have attended current council, and they've been poorly treated. You should not be debating in a negative fashion people that come to council with legitimate complaints. The bottom line is you should be comfortable to be able to come in there without the threat of any intimidation. There's been talk in the newspaper about bullying at city council. That's just unacceptable. And the chairman should control that kind of situation, and that's one of the issues that we want to correct. It's just something that's happened. It has come with power. It has come with the length of time in office. And this is why we need a little bit of change, real perspective change, something that we can actually look at and say, you know what? I like his idea, or that's not a bad idea, or hey, I've got an idea I'd like to tell you about. So those are the kind of things we want to bring to the council, a new council, that help you feel more comfortable about your leadership. And it is 4 years after all. Thank you.
I would like to mention something. Jonathan mentioned about more communication. The way I understand what he said, placing one piece of paper in City Hall is not enough. Putting the same sheet of paper on a website is sufficient. I also want to improve the communication, but in my opinion, we need to put the real facts in the information we provide to the residents, because right now we have very little facts about anything the City Council really is doing and how much money is spent and what things cost. Thank you.
I want to take a moment just to actually correct something that Vladimir said, because I think he's forgotten the first time that he met me. When I first got elected to New Westminster City Council 9 years ago, I was approached by Vladimir about the creation of an anti-idling bylaw in the city of New Westminster. I brought that bylaw to our committee, and now the city of New Westminster has that. I'm proud that I have returned every email and every phone call I've had as a city councillor. So I feel I've done an excellent job in being responsive to the community, and I think there's a huge opportunity for our city to do a better job in having a genuine dialogue with our residents.
Okay. Now the next question will be posed by Damon Beattie, and it'll be posed to Mr. Crosty.
City Council recently approved a plan to build a new 4-lane Patello Bridge to replace the existing one. Do you support this plan, and where do you think the new bridge should be built?
The plan itself has actually been negotiated, and it's actually not a bad plan. I have an issue with the fact that they're allowing it to be built with the infrastructure for 6 lanes. Jonathan claimed that it's going to be $110 million to put in the other 2 lanes, but at the end of the day, we all know to give them an inch, they take a mile. If it's there for 6 lanes, somehow, somewhere, somebody is going to say, New Westminster, we can't wait for you. We're going to put 6 in. That's just life. The bridge should be maintained where it is. I still believe there's an opportunity for us to debate this, and we can deal with the traffic in a systemic way by extending the McBride Boulevard to Highway 1. It's the least expensive way. I want to get the Stormont Connector, it's been around for 50 years, back on the table. Reconnect our city. If possible, take a tunnel and put that over McBride and have some amazing space above that that we could lease out or sell the air rights to. That's just an option that we need to discuss. Thank you.
Mr. Krasnogor.
Well, 2 years ago, the city of Surrey was heavily pushing for a 6 or 8 lane Patello Bridge. And I don't think anyone in Metro Vancouver thought that the city of New Westminster would be able to lobby for the interests of our residents. But I'm proud to be one of all of our council members that went to every single municipality in Metro Vancouver and had the region agree that spending hundreds of millions of dollars building a larger bridge would not only not solve the transportation issues that we have, it would be a complete waste of money. I even had the pleasure of maybe drawing the short straw and actually getting the pleasure to visit and go to the City of Surrey City Council. But I'm proud that even the City of Surrey ended up adopting our position. So I think We can no longer afford to be the toll-free alternative. The tolls on the new Port Mann Bridge have had a very negative impact on our city, and I think moving forward with a new two-lane in each direction tolled bridge will see some significant improvements in our city.
Thank you very much. Mr. Wright?
I think one of the most important things is, and one of our opponents here said that we weren't negotiating. They were putting 6 lanes there. 6 lanes were there until, as Councillor Cote said, we went out and saw everyone. And I saw every one of the other mayors. And we discussed this, and we said, what was the necessity of having 6 lanes when you have no ways to go in New Westminster? So if 6 lanes ever gets built, and it's in the foundation, it's not on the bed or that you're going to have it opened up with trucks in a minute's time, but there's going to be a tunnel, because that's part of the mitigation that we have to look at to see if that's going to happen. But the more important thing is we worked with Surrey, and we told Surrey, use the money to get your light rapid transit. And you know what? The light bulb went on just like that. And so they said, yep, let's go together, and that's what's happened to us now.
I happen to be a part of the movement that was fighting long and hard against the plan to build a 6-lane bridge. Some of the people who ran with me in these elections were also helping a lot. And I'm really pleased to know that finally the 6-lane bridge is not on the table, because it's simply impossible to comprehend. Every time I go across Alex Fraser Bridge, this is a 6-lane bridge. And it goes from non-populated area to non-populated area. Now, it's hard to imagine that you can get a 6-lane bridge with so much traffic going almost into a downtown of a small city as New Westminster. I did everything I could. I even wrote a letter to the editor of Surrey newspapers, and they actually published them, against 6-lane bridge, only for 4-lane bridge, and I'm glad to know that that's now seems to be the case. Thank you.
Now time for open debate for 2 minutes.
3 years ago, when I talked about the traffic plan that wasn't existent in New Westminster, these guys developed one in the last 3 years. They finally brought it to council a couple of months ago, called the MTP, the Master Transportation Plan. But they've left out huge chunks of problems that we're going to experience in the next 10 to 20 years. One be Sapperton Green, which wasn't in the plan, and 22nd Street SkyTrain Station. These are going to be heavily built areas because they're SkyTrain stations. Just take a look at Burnaby. They also talked about tunnels in this plan. I'm glad to hear Wayne talking about tunnels. I'm glad that Jonathan embraced tunnels. I've embraced tunnels for over a decade, trying to get the traffic off of our side streets. My opinion is, and what I've heard from people, is it's time to open up that discussion. I want to take a panel of politicians, not staff, that get together from all the cities around us. Let's sit down at a table and tell them how we have our issues, and let them try to give us their solutions. Let's work together. Let's find out if they have options at their end that could relieve some of our traffic. It's not going to solve this overnight, but we have to start talking to our neighbors. They say that everybody's in agreement. You all read the papers. That's not true. Some of these people didn't even want to hear the solutions from New Westminster because they weren't part of them. The idea here is to take these plans, extend them to our neighbors, and let's get some feedback. We have time. Maybe we don't even need a 6-lane Patella Bridge if we solve these problems with our neighbors.
Transportation is the #1 issue facing our community. I've heard it time and time again on the doors, and if I'm successful in this election, it will be my top priority. I think we need to recognize that our issues that we face in New Westminster are regional in nature. We have over 450,000 vehicles traveling through our city each day. We need to look outside our borders. It's one thing to say we don't want more vehicles from Surrey traveling through our city each day, but I think the City of New Westminster has just as big of a role to advocate for the expansion of light rail into the Fraser Valley and the fastest growing municipality in New Westminster as Surrey does.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cote. The next, Mr. Mackin will now ask the next question to Mr. Krasnogor. Bob.
Okay, well, on the topic of transportation, public transit, public transportation, and the next election will be, of course, 2018, but voters will be asked next year to vote on whether to expand and fund TransLink, and of course TransLink is based in New Westminster. What are your thoughts on TransLink, which as a public body has had its weaknesses? We've seen how poorly it's managed the Compass card. Should voters put more money into TransLink before TransLink gets its own house in order? And how will you represent New Westminster when it comes to that referendum next year?
You have 1 minute.
The best minds in BC are now thinking for over a year about this question, and you want me to respond in 1 minute. Thank you very much. I believe I know about the governments, and I have been on strata. That's the highest government I have been. If the government has money, they start thinking about how to spend it. And I really believe that TransLink and the mayors have to come with some kind of a definite plan, what to do and how much it will cost to do it before we start collecting money for this project. And I believe that mayors have to actually agree between themselves. There's a big disagreement between one side of the Fraser River, another side of the Fraser River. When they get to agreement what they want to build, set up the priority list, and then I think we should have a referendum and start collecting money. Thank you.
Mr. Wright, you have 1 minute.
Well, I like anything else, when you sit in the hot seats, you got to take the results. And I'm the mayor that's on the TransLink board now, and I'm the mayor that's representing the other 21 mayors in the Lower Mainland. The referendum that's coming forward is not one that we asked for. As a matter of fact, we were against it. Probably in some people's minds, we still are. But what's happened is we've got subgroups put in place, which I am chairing, and what's going to happen is that we're making up the referendum, we're going back to the province, and we're going to see what you, the people, want. You will make the decision. And if you want to spend more money to have more and better transportation, then you'll answer that referendum question that'll be quite open and quite determined by what you do. But I can tell you this, from a personal point of view, I think it was wrong to do. I think it's hard to do something like that with the time frame that we have, and it's almost impossible for a referendum to pass unless you have years to train the people of what you're going to be doing with the money that they are going to be put forward. But you'll have that choice very shortly.
Mr. Cote, you have 1 minute.
Our region is going to grow by 1.2 million people over the next 25 years. If we still have the same rates of car ownership as we do today, you'll be able to line up all of the new vehicles from New Westminster to Ontario. We need to start doing transportation differently. I'm strongly in support of supporting the upcoming referendum that will happen in the next year. If we are not able to build a multimodal transportation system, if we're not able to build a successful public transportation system that meets the needs of all residents of the region, we are not only going to have a transportation system that doesn't work, we are going to have an economy that just isn't able to function. We need to be able to get around our region, and to do that, we need to support public transit.
Well, I'm standing here after being in the city for 25 years and knowing that we've had traffic issues for that long. I'm hearing these gentlemen speak like they've never dealt with traffic before. I'm going to throw up my 1 minute so that we can have a debate. To answer your question on TransLink, I'd be obviously a strong proponent, and I would work hard to make sure that the voices of New Westminster are heard, but I would do it in a collaborative manner. Wayne's been on the board. Jonathan's been at Metro Vancouver. These gentlemen have had 10 years and 12 years to do something for us. I mean, that's the question. Do we need a new perspective? Do we need somebody that's not going to get paid an extra 50 grand to be sitting on the TransLink board that will represent our city much stronger? So I'm asking you guys, take it away. Tell us why we haven't got a solution after a decade.
Well, it's not like James to give up any of his microphone time, so thank you very much.
I suggest you need it.
I'm proud of the fact to have worked on the development.
See, I still didn't do it, Jonathan.
I think that was the end of his time, but go on. You've got a few minutes.
Yes. Yeah. I'm proud of the fact that I've served as the co-chair of our Master Transportation Plan Committee. We've spent the last 3 years developing a long-range transportation plan for our city. This hasn't been done since the mid-1990s, and it was long overdue. Now, there is not one magic bullet, easy solution that's going to solve all of the congestion or issues that we have in New Westminster. The plan outlines over 140 recommendations that we need to move forward. Bit by bit, we can see improvements in our city. We can work to make our regional routes more efficient, but we can also protect our local neighborhoods.
But Jonathan, I'm curious. You've been building right lane bulges and we can't turn right in this city. You're proposing to put a boulevard down Royal Avenue. I'm not sure how that solves the traffic problem so easily. We also haven't implemented synchronized lighting during rush hours. So you guys have been building the city for rush hour when the rest of us have to live here for 24/7.
Well, first of all, I think we need to be designing our city not only to accommodate the traffic, but also to build a walkable city. It is critically important, if we are going to change our transportation system, that we start to provide different options, whether that be public transit or a friendly pedestrian
Jonathan,
environment.
these are cars that are going through our city. They're not here locally. For 2 hours a day, you guys are quoting 450,000 cars per day, and you're talking about making our city livable and walkable. That's a separate issue.
Well, I don't think it is a separate issue. I think the livability of our community is very closely connected to our transportation system. I do believe we do need to create efficient routes at the perimeter of our city. We do need to look at new technologies that are coming through with light sequencing.
So why haven't we
and
done that,
coordination.
Jonathan?
Well, that technology is even emerging, and there is now more real-time technology to deal with light technology. Yeah. That technology did not exist 10 years ago.
Synchronized lights have been in place since
and we do have synchronized lights in our city, but the technology is getting better, and I think there are better opportunities for us to improve our regional routes. But I'm not prepared to sacrifice our neighborhoods to do it.
And now we move into the final question in this round, and then we're opening it up to the rapid response questions. But now over to Damon for the final question to Mr. Wright.
The Fraser Institute recently released a report on per capita municipal spending and ranked New Westminster in second spot. Just across the river, Surrey ranked the lowest. This is not likely something any civic politician would be proud of, so do you believe city taxpayers are getting full value from City Hall? And are there lessons we could learn from other low-cost municipalities?
Well, certainly, the first thing I'll say is you are getting good value for your money, all right? You have one of the best cities in the world now for crime. The crime 12 years ago, you all know what it was like. We had to spend a little bit more money to get it fixed, and it's fixed now. You also have to add things up for apples and apples, pears and pears, oranges and oranges, and they're not doing that. They don't do that when they do the per capita. Nobody else has an electrical company. The electrical company costs us money, but they don't put the revenues back in. So there's some things that we can learn from other cities, but they can also learn from us. We're taking the oldest city in British Columbia with the oldest pipes, the oldest wires, everything is old, and we're trying to fix it. That's what your taxes are paying for. But I don't think there's one person sitting in this audience today that isn't happy to live in New Westminster. I don't think there's one of you that's not going to be able to tell somebody else, move here, okay? Because the amount of money that you pay for your taxes gives you the amenities that we need. Look around you, and for me, I'm happy.
Mr. Cote? Mr. Cote?
Well, I think it is important that we have a local government that always recognizes that the money that we're spending ultimately comes from the taxpayers. I think it is important to recognize that there are some issues with the Fraser Institute report. It wasn't comparing apples to apples. As Mayor Wright mentioned, we have our own electrical utility. If you added BC Hydro to all the other municipality expenses, our ranking would go to 8 out of 17. Now, there is still room for improvement, and I think we do need to be running an efficient government that is always mindful of the taxpayers. I think we need to move beyond just looking for that next big project, and my focus, if I'm successful, is to focus on our existing and aging infrastructure. But I do think that the report that was put out was a little bit misleading.
Mr. Crossy?
Wow. We've gone from $25 million in borrowing to 75 in 3 years. We've had a 30% increase in our wages, now pushing $84 million in a city of 65,000 people. Fraser Institute aside, right or wrong, it's not sustainable. Sooner or later, when you get your tax bill, you're going to scream. We need to address the spending and the priorities of where it's going today, not 10 years down the road. He talks about people that want to live in New Westminster. I'm happy to be here. That's why I'm running. But he doesn't talk about the many people that have left. How many of you have people that have left this city because it's gotten too expensive? You know, we got to look back and see how we're running things. It's not easy. but it can be done better. With a proper fiscal vision, we can have a sustainable city. $14 million in hydro profits goes into general revenues. Try and wrap that around your head. This is what they're spending.
Thank you, Mr. Crossing. Mr. Krasnogor.
Unfortunately, I don't think that New Westminster gets a good value for the money we spend. When I drive from Burnaby to New Westminster in a bad weather, I cannot see the signs when they change from green to blue. I can always tell that I have entered New Westminster when the cars start jumping on potholes. I bet you each of you has a favorite pothole in your neighborhood that has been there for years. And the city has built a Pier Park, and they built Anvil Center, and they will destroy the parkade and build a pedestrian bridge and spend another $500 million, and that pothole will still be there. And I don't think this is right. I don't think it's correct. Sorry. I don't want to put New Westminster down, but when I go to a library in Burnaby, I feel ashamed for the building of our library. We have the best librarians, we have the best service in the library, but the building has been not renovated for so many years. And same applies to the swimming pools and other facilities.
We're out of the main time, and now we're open to a free debate. You can all jump in.
When you talked about using...
Not all at the same time.
All right. Just to back up here, Wayne talked about the referendum for TransLink, because we are go back to TransLink. Okay, Jonathan, that makes sense. That's what the question was. So, TransLink and how they're operating and how we want to spend their money in terms of transit. Wayne talks about the referendum being a huge long-term process, yet these guys use negative option billing to approve the $59 million borrowing. They use negative option billing referendi to put taxes on the Uptown Business Association. That was wrong. These are the kind of things that we need to correct at City Hall. Consultation means both sides, not negative options. So we've had 12 years of this, 10 years with Jonathan. It's like Jonathan's had an awakening. He's been there with this council, the District Labor Council. They've had a majority. They didn't need Wayne to approve anything. They could have done that all by themselves. So you can't blame Wayne, but he is the leader. It's just time for change.
I don't think we can talk about our tax rate and a sustainable tax rate unless we're also talking about our local economy. We've seen tremendous pressure over the past 25 years, seeing a lot of our old industries leave New Westminsters. But our local economy has changed. We've seen a lot of the old mills leave, but we need to aggressively be attracting the businesses of tomorrow. We've seen tremendous pressure on our employment lands to convert to condos. And I think we need to recognize if we want to have a sustainable tax base, we need to protect our industrial lands, we need to protect our commercial lands. I've been proud of my work on City Council, putting forward motions to protect our industrial lands, putting forward motions to stop the conversion of existing commercial office space to be converted to residential. Because if we simply become a bedroom community, we are going to have an unsustainable tax rate. We need to attract the businesses of tomorrow and make sure we have good employment lands in New Westminster.
Mr. Wright.
Okay, we are out of time. Oh, Mr. Wright, did you want to jump in, or no?
Well, it's easy for me to sit here and for you to sit here and to listen to all the things that seem to be wrong. Now, why don't you think of something that's right? Why don't you think, okay? And I'll say it again. Think of something right, okay?
Well,
take a look what this city's doing.
Sir.
Take a look at this city and how it's going, where it's going, and how it's developing. We built some things that maybe some people said were risky, okay? We did it because we had good information. We did it because we weighed the risks, and you ended up with a wonderful, wonderful office complex that was sold for a profit. And you ended up with a magnificent Anvil Center, you can sit down for a minute. You sit down for a minute.
No, it's an open
you
debate,
sit down
sir.
for a
It's
minute.
An open debate, and I want to question you on the Anvil Center.
You'll do that when I'm
You said
finished.
it's sold,
when
but it doesn't
finish, When I'm finished, you talk.
Have a
okay?
seat.
And let me tell you something. When you have something like this, does not help you make a decision. okay? He's bringing up bullcrap, all right? We're sitting there, we've been running this city for 10 years, 12 years together, and you've seen benefits, okay? You've seen your dollars, and your dollars were spent wisely. $43 million spent on the Anvil Center cost you nothing, all right? Might have cost you a couple $1,000,000. Now you tell me somebody else that can do that. And we did that with our work that we did with the lottery board that came from quite some time ago. If we would not have
Mr.
spent
Wright,
that money, we would not
thank
have
you.
it. I can go on for quite a
I
while.
know you can, but you're now cut off. Thank you.
I told you we wanted to let
Thank
him
you very
speak.
much. We're done this part of the debate. We're now moving into the rapid fire. And now this part of the debate, our panelists have been collecting questions from the audience and also online via Twitter. And the hashtag is MPRA debate if you are watching on news.tv. So now the way we're going to have this format is the panelists will pose the questions they've received. They will pose them to one candidate. We're going to start with Mayor Wright and move down. You get 1 minute to respond, and then the next question to the next candidate. You will not have an open free debate on this, so just so you know. So I'll start with Bob with the first question to Mr. Wright.
Okay, this question from the floor. What are you going to do to the? What are you going to do for the West End? We have a big line of traffic down 20th Street. We don't have a community center. We are seeing many of our older homes disappear, replaced with $1 million plus homes, less affordable homes. So what are you going to do for the West End to make it more affordable and more livable?
Well, the first thing I'll let you know, I was from the West End till I moved down to the Quay, so I know the area very well. Remember, folks, we are a small city, and if you're talking about taxation, if you're talking about wanting to keep them low, there's only so much you can do. Now, the West End can come to the new Anvil Center, it can go to the Pier Park, it can use the amenities that are here. Traffic is a problem. We all know it's a problem. There's not easy solutions to it, but we're working on it as we speak.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wright. Over to Damon, and the next question to Mr. Krasnogor.
What is your position on Uber? What is your position on Uber?
Uber.
Uber.
U-B-E-R.
It's a
Say it again.
Uber is a taxi. It's a taxi service app where the general community
Car share. It's like a car share.
car share, yeah. People can, anybody can go on that app and become a cab, basically.
Oh,
big problem
yes. Yes, I know. No.
You have 1 minute, Mr. Krasnogor.
Well, as on every social issue, there's always two sides to the issue, to the medal. On one hand, as consumers, maybe you will pay a little bit less if this Uber, my German pronunciation is better than yours, Uber. That's how you say it. If Uber gets its way, yes, fares may go a little bit lower. I'm not sure about security of the people. I don't think they will scream their drivers as the taxis are. But I'm concerned that people who are taxi drivers now, who make a living on it, and a good living, they support families, they may be forced to go out of business, and I don't think this thing will be positive on the whole to the community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Mackin, your question to Mr. Crosty, please.
Do you believe that major performing arts producers such as Royal City Musical Theatre, New West Symphony Orchestra, and Royal City Youth Ballet in the city warrant additional support during the much anticipated but numerous times delayed reconstruction and subsequent temporary closure of the Massey Theatre? And if so, how do you propose to assist them in weathering this transition? Will any additional funds be made available to them?
Currently, we have already put aside in the city about $10 million for the new theater that is supposed to be built for the high school. I'm going to tell you right now, folks, I'm opposed to the Massey Theater being closed and torn down. Simple. So I'll do everything I can to save that historic building. We can use the money and we can get some corporate sponsorship to fix it up. I'm worried about the high school. There's a study going on in the high school on the seismic capability of the school. It wasn't complete many years ago. We have the Cornerstone report, which talks about the deplorable condition of the high school. It's a terrible visual when you come into the city. It's been left to languish on the prospect of being rebuilt. I'd love to have a new high school. It's $110 million. Would I like to have one fixed up and save the Massey Theater? Yeah, it's time. Let's give our kids Wi-Fi. They don't even have free Wi-Fi in the high school. We're falling behind because we're waiting too long. If I get to be in the seat of the mayors, I will do what I can to try and push that forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Damon, your question to Mr. Cote.
The income needed to afford an average 3-bedroom rental, assuming you can find one, is $52,000. But the average income in New West is only $38,407, which is below BC average. What policies would you recommend and advocate for that would address housing for the city's most vulnerable citizens, children who are living in poverty?
Well, thank you. I have been a strong advocate for affordable housing since I first arrived on City Council. I've been proud to work with the City Council that has seen the reduction of our street homeless population by over 50%. But there are still many people and many families in our community that are slipping through the cracks and cannot find affordable housing. I think we need to have a local government that is prepared to support non-market housing. I think the opportunities lie with Metro Vancouver Housing Corporation. This is an organization that does run affordable housing in our region, but it has not expanded their base of affordable housing in probably over 25 years. And I think there needs to be a higher priority for this level of local government to address this issue, not only in New Westminster, because affordable housing is an issue all across Metro Vancouver.
Thank you, Mr. Cote. Next question will go from Bob to Mr. Wright.
The question of campaign financing by New West Labour Council or developers has been in the news lately. Because candidates must run citywide and need financial help, does this not suggest that a ward system would reduce the need for large financial machines? Would you support a serious review of the ward system in New West to open opportunities for working class heroes?
Well, the ward system, quite frankly, is not one that we've looked at before. It's come up a couple times, but that's not something we are looking at. I think that we're a small enough city that everybody can participate and you can select your people that are going to represent you. And I think everyone that's here tonight has represented you well. As far as the problem that we have with a particular group supporting one entire council, I don't think that's right. And I've said it before, and I'll tell you, when you're by yourself, you better have strong leadership. And you better have somebody in that city hall that can sit there and be the opposite if you get all one slate in. So I'm not sure I'm answering that question the way you're asking it, because we don't talk about wards much. But if you talk about labor and what we're doing here, we better be very careful.
The next question will go from Damon to Mr. Krasnogor.
Where do you stand on the transport of environmentally toxic materials through our municipality? I.e., do you support the stance of the mayor of Burnaby against Kinder Morgan?
I support the mayor of Burnaby, yes. He runs a good city. I support him. I'm very much against transporting dangerous goods through our municipality or any other municipality. If it would be up to me, it will stop, but it's not up to me, and it's not up to the province, it's up to the federal government. We may not stop it completely. What we can do, and what I will do as mayor, I will make sure that people who do this transportation, they follow each rule to the letter. And each violation will be recorded, documented, and reported to the Transportation Board. So if we cannot stop it completely, at least we can make it as safe as possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bob, your next question to Mr. Crossy.
With over 80 stories of condos proposed for the Brewery District in Samerton, how will you ensure that current residents' concerns about the loss of views and the increase in traffic will be addressed?
Well, this has just come to light recently, as you've all read in the paper, and it's been a surprise to the Samerton residents. And the problem here is it's systemic in our city. When Wayne first got elected in 2002, we were developing by variance permit, and it was terrible. There were dozens of variance permits that came through just to get something built, and we're doing it again. We have an OCP plan. I worked on it, and many of you worked on it, and it's there. We can guide ourselves by it. Wayne referred to it earlier, but we're breaking the rules in those OCP plans. We're changing them to suit the needs of some of our councillors who want something done that's unusual. We're telling developers how many units they should build that are 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms. The market forces give us an idea of what they will be able to sell. And as a result, we have to work with our developers to make that happen. In Sapperton,
Thank
we
you
need
very
to
much,
go back
Mr. Crossley.
and revisit that issue again.
Thank you very much. The next question from Damon to Mr. Cote.
Mr. Cote, you have been quoted in the local newspaper as favoring road pricing. If you are elected mayor, would you attempt to implement road pricing?
Well, I think the current haphazard road pricing system that we have in Metro Vancouver clearly doesn't work. The negative impacts we've seen in having the large tolls on the Port Mann Bridge has certainly hurt families south of the Fraser River, but it has also caused traffic nightmares in the city of New Westminster. I would support seeing a lower toll distributed across the region. I think this would be more equitable, it would help fund our transportation system, and ultimately would lead to better results through our transportation system and actually allowing people to drive through the roads that they were intended. We spent $5 billion as a region building the new Port Mann Bridge and South Fraser Perimeter Road, and trucks and vehicles are avoiding this road network. I think a more rational road pricing system makes sense for our region, and I would like to pursue that.
I just want to confirm with our guest panelists, we have enough questions for one more round? Yeah, okay, perfect. So we'll do one more quick round, one more rapid round, and we'll start again with Mr. Wright, and that'll be Bob to Mr. Wright.
This is a short and simple one. Why have city staff wages and salaries and benefits been allowed to escalate so much?
Say it again.
Why have city staff wages, salaries, and benefits been allowed to escalate so much?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're in a competitive world. And if you want the best people to come in, you keep your wages equal to everyone else's. And unfortunately, when you're sitting in the West, and if they do a contract with the police or they do a contract with the firemen in the East, it goes right across the country. It's been happening for 50 years or more. So we're competitively priced for our people, and you have the best people I think that we can get. So I'm not sure that you can do anything unless we all do it collectively together, which is all the municipalities. And if everybody speaks loud enough, maybe that will come to one of the council of councils where we all sit together and we make the decisions.
Damon, a question to Mr. Krasnogor.
What are your plans for Queen's Park? Will any trees be destroyed?
Yesterday, me and my girlfriend, we went for a walk in Queen's Park neighborhood, as we do very often. And I looked at the Queen's Park. It was so beautiful. The trees are getting red and yellow, lots of leaves on the ground. And I couldn't think that if New Westminster residents and the Baseball Association wouldn't stood up to council and oppose their plans, the Queen's Park right now would be a construction zone, fenced with a big hole in the ground. I'm glad that I did everything I could to oppose this city plans. I hope the city park will remain as a park, and as a mayor, one of my priorities is to introduce statutory protection to the Queen's Park, just like a Stanley Park, so no future council, 4 people on the council, will be able to destroy the park. Thank you.
The next question is to Mr. Crosty.
There's an emphasis on opening the city's economy, but a healthy environment is more important. What are your plans to ensure and promote clean air, clean soil, and clean water in our city?
Well, we're right smack in the middle of the Lower Mainland, and we get all the air from everybody else, and we have all the traffic from everybody else. It's a very difficult question to answer. What can we do about it? Well, we have some air monitoring that is in effect, and it's being taken down in the, I believe it's the Keykite or one of the schools. We need more of that to find out exactly what's happening to our air quality. We also need to oppose the coal facility across the river. We also need to look at what's going to happen 10 to 20 years down the road. New engines are being developed. We're going to gas. We're going to electricity. So we're going to have a progression into a cleaner environment, and we need to be ready for that. And it doesn't mean closing up our streets. It means allowing people to travel freely. There's a lot of work to be done in the environmental aspect. I do have a record for fighting dirty coal and the situation with coal across the river.
Thank you, Mr.
So I will stand up for our citizens in that area.
Thank you very much. And now the final question in the rapid round will go to Mr. Cote.
New Westminster is known as the little city that tries to be everything to everybody. We have 3 halfway houses, Elizabeth Fry, and countless other organizations that need city tax dollars to operate. Do you think it is fair to ask taxpayers to continue to pay more taxes, and how can we sustain these supports over time if we don't say no more, let's focus on what we have?
Well, first of all, I've never hidden the fact that I'm a strong advocate for affordable housing in our community. I think there are many people, because of whatever issues that they found in their life, poverty, drug addiction, that need to find housing in our system. But I do want to correct the question, because many of those housing institutions that you talked about are not funded by the city, they're funded by the provincial government. And they exist in our city because we've had a progressive city council that's been prepared to partner with different organizations, been prepared to partner with different levels of government to actually address housing issues. We have neighboring municipalities that have turned a blind eye to the issue of homelessness and only seen the issue get worse and worse. In New Westminster, we've seen over a 50% reduction in street homelessness, and that's because we found homes for people. That's the solution to this issue.
Ladies and gentlemen, noting the time, this now brings us to the end of our debate portion, and now I'm going to turn it over back to the candidates. They're each going to have the opportunity to speak for 1 minute in a closing statement, and we're going to reverse the order this time and start with Mr. Wright.
Well, once more, I want to thank you all for coming here this evening, and just to tell you that the future is in our own hands. It's in your hands. You're the ones that are going to choose the council. You're the ones that will choose a mayor. And so when you're looking, don't take a small piece, take the entire package. I'm the entire package. I've got everything there for you. I've been working for you. I'm trained. I'm ready to go. I've got the insides that are ready for it. Folks, I want to do it. And that's part of the reason that I'm here tonight. I've got the passion to keep going on this city, and I promise you I will do as good. You might not like some of the things, but I promise you I will do the same as I've been doing now, and that's leading a wonderful city. And tomorrow, I'd love you all to come down to the Cenotaph, because we want to show the rest of Canada that we're not afraid of anybody, and we're there to participate in our freedom for the country.
With some sense of nostalgia, I have to say that this campaign is coming to an end, and in 4 days, New Westminster will make its decision. I would like to say that, again, it was my impression over the last 3 years I was involved with the council that some council members believe that their election is guaranteed and they behave accordingly. And this is not good, neither for the city nor for democracy. I would suggest to elect all independent council and all independent school board. I suggest you have a look at my website. You can get in touch with me if you have any questions. Learn about my platform. I'm an independent candidate. What I said on my website, what I'm saying today, that's exactly what I'll do. And I'll appreciate your vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you. This was your last opportunity to engage the engage us and the voters to define the similarities and the differences between us. I bring equal representation. These candidates cannot. They are a special interest. To their credit, they have developed and improved our area at a rapid pace. And it's been a selected improvement with few amenities. With balanced leadership, I will ensure responsible growth with meaningful consultation. However, to maintain their dream, we need a sound fiscal vision. I can deliver this. We just need to manage it better. Further, I'm committed to making everyone feel welcome once again at City Hall and open up the secrets that have been hiding behind those closed meetings. Vote for a real, fresh perspective in New Westminster. Your vote for Crosty means real balance, real leadership, and real independence. Remember those that fought for our right to vote tomorrow, and remember to vote on November the 15th. Thank you.
Mr. Cote?
Well, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out here tonight. I've spent the last 2 months knocking on over 4,000 doors, and I've spent hundreds of hours talking to residents and local business owners about the issues that matter in our community. I'm proud to have been the only candidate up here who's released a full platform talking about the issues that matter in the city of New Westminster. From transportation to our local economy to our aging infrastructure, I have a plan for the future of our city. This election is not about finishing a legacy. This election is about taking on the long-term challenges that our community is facing. I'm excited about the future of New Westminster, and I want you to join me in building a brighter future for our community. So on November 15, mark your ballot X for Jonathan X. Cote. Thank you.
Okay, at this point in the evening, I want to thank all of our candidates for a very lively and spirited debate that was very both entertaining and informing. We are now going to take about 5 minutes to what we call clear the set. These guys were the opening act. The real show is behind me, so they're all going to be coming up in a minute here. So don't go anywhere. But before we do take a break, I have a couple of commercial announcements just to announce that this evening does not come to fruition without a little bit of expense. There are some expenses related to this. There are a couple of volunteers who do have baskets, and if you could throw in a few dollars, and that would help cover some of the costs to defray for the newwest.tv and also for the church venue itself. Any additional dollars beyond what our costs are will go to Honor House. So make sure you're generous when the baskets are coming around. So we will take 5 minutes. The candidates have assured me it won't take them long to get up there, and then the sooner they are, the sooner we can get to the debate. Thank you. Okay, welcome back, everyone. Now let's move right on into the debate to make sure we have enough time for to hear from all of our candidates this evening. The first part of this portion of the evening's debate will be what I'm calling political speed dating. So we're going to go really fast through this. They've each, all the candidates have been told they have about 30 seconds. And they're going to introduce themselves, and if they want to say something about themselves or position, we're going to go through that really rapidly, and then I'll explain to you the next process as we get into it. So we do have groups of 5, and I'm going to start from here, and then we're going to kind of work our way right through till the end, and then start up to the top, and then work our way through to the back as well. So we'll get going with you in 30 seconds.
Hi, my name's Harm Woldring, and in this book are 10 years of our city's financial reports. I spent the time to do the research, and 2 weeks ago, our elected city officials agreed with me that we have the highest taxes of any city in the Lower Mainland. The taxpayers of this city have told me they're tired of paying the highest taxes and not getting the service and benefits and amenities that they deserve for that money. It's time to put people on our city council that will be fiscally responsible with your money and my money. I'm a taxpayer here.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Next. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is David Brett, and I believe I have the skills, knowledge, and experience to be an effective city councillor. I have 20 to 30 years of business experience, plus I have been deeply involved in the community for a long time. I've spent a lot of time at City Hall understanding a lot of the civic policies, and I believe I can be effective. So what I bring is a combination of business experience, understanding of financial statements. I have a master's degree in business administration. I've lived here for 20 years, and I'd like your vote. Don't forget, vote for Brett.
Thank you very much. Mr. Harper.
Thank you and good evening. You can pick up my brochure in the hallway there, and there's a quote on the front of my brochure that I think sums up what I've been as a city councillor. And it says, New Westminster wants a safe and friendly streets, a thriving economy that supports our families, to preserve our cultural heritage and a sense of community that we all can be proud of. I think I have the vision and experience to make it happen. I've been 9 years on council. I'm chair of the Economic Development Advisory Committee, the new Intelligent City Committee, the Arts Commission, and the Seniors Committee.
Thank you very much, Mr. Harper. And Mr. Bell.
I'm Jim Bell. Am I long enough? Once upon a time, I was the daddy of 10 children. In my spare time, I became the chief chemist at Scott Paper. Later, I went to Vancouver Island and was elected a trustee for the Cowichan Valley. We had an outstanding school in Mill Bay.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. Thank you very much. Next. Your mic's not on. I think the mic is on now, but none of us can hear you. So, but go ahead. Reset the clock to 30 seconds. Yeah. Speak loud. You'll have to speak really loud.
Born and raised in New Westminster, I have seen the city grow and change. A husband and father of 3, I understand the importance of I didn't do anything.
Put your mic up higher.
Up or down? Here.
You got about 5 seconds left.
Then I'll just finish with, I love this city and am fully committed to making it a place we can all be proud of.
Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tej Kainth. I am born and raised here in New Westminster and a very proud resident. I am the creator of Next New West, which is a young professional networking group that is aimed at attracting the young professionals to the city. I'm also the executive director for Tourism New Westminster and one of the youngest candidates, sitting right next to Mike here, running for a spot on City Council. I am also an active volunteer with Meals on Wheels, serving, which is with the Senior Service Society, and I'm a passionate community builder, and I'm here to just do the best for New West.
Thank you very much. Ms. Williams.
Hello, my name is Laurie Williams, and I'm a very proud sitting councillor for New Westminster. I want to continue in this role because I believe this is a vibrant city, and I want to continue the momentum that we've had for the last decade. But I also have 2 pet projects. One, of course, is the Wait For Me Daddy. It has a second half that I want to see through, and I also want to be part of overseeing the building of the new animal shelter in Queensborough. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Mr. McAvoy.
My name is Jamie McAvoy. I've worked hard on issues like transportation. I'm proud of some of the things we've accomplished, like the Westminster Pier Park and our new community vehicle enforcement team taking dangerous trucks and polluting trucks off the road. We got a big job to do, and anyone who stands in front of you and announces that they can solve it all reminds me of my first election when I was 19 years old, and every single candidate said they would solve the traffic problem. It takes hard work.
Thank you, Mr. McAvoy.
And we need a strong government to do it.
Thank you very much. Mr. McIntosh.
Hello, my name is Scott McIntosh. I was born and raised in New Westminster. I'm running for City Council to bring all your voices to New Westminster. I don't have any main things other than I want to be open and communicative and bring all your concerns forward to City Hall in a respectful manner. Thank you, Scott McIntosh.
Mr. Donnelly.
Yes, my name is Calvin Donnelly. I'm one of the longest people running for council up here today. And I wanted to just say that whether on council or off council, I've always tried to be an active person in our community and do service for all kind of organizations. I want us to have a strong, well-managed, and vibrant community. As one of your votes, I would like you to ask 1 vote for Calvin Donnelly, and then you got 5 other choices. And I'm an independent candidate. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Mr. Palmer.
Hello, my name is Gavin Palmer. I'm 67, a healthy semi-retired entrepreneur from Queensborough. Should I be elected, I will represent you and my unique community on City Council. Our current district labor-endorsed council has accomplished many things. We are number 2 in taxing our residents. We are number 1 in taxing our businesses. We have the worst traffic flow in the Lower Mainland and an increasing amount of truck traffic. Small and medium businesses are having a difficult time maintaining their existence. And if they fail and leave you town, your contribution will come from you.
Thank you very much. To the back, Mr. Johnstone.
Hello, I'm Patrick Johnstone. I'm running for the first time. I've been a volunteer around town for the last decade. I've been serving on municipal committees on transportation, community social issues, emergency planning. I've volunteered with a bunch of organizations around town, from the Environmental Partners to the Bothra to the Curly Rink, and I got Citizen of the Year last year for my volunteer efforts from the Chamber of Commerce. I've been a vocal advocate for sustainable development in the city and for community planning, and I think that I'm ready to bring my energy, my ideas, and my passion to the council table. Thank you.
Mr. Ashdown.
Thank you, Moody Park residents, Moody Park Resident Association, for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is John Ashdown. I am running as an independent candidate for council. I've lived in the Moody Park area of New Westminster for 35 years. I was the founding president of the West End Business Association, owner of 2 large trucking companies, and owner of the Community Spirit Award-winning Village Coffee Lounge. I am past president and current member of the Moody Park Residents Association and president of the Fraternal Order of the Eagles, New Westminster.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Ms. Block.
Good evening. My name is Tracy Block, and I'm honored to be here this evening. I've lived in New Westminster for more than 20 years in Moody Park and the West End, and I work locally here in Douglas College. I'm an independent candidate who did not seek endorsement from the New Westminster and District Labour Union. I'm open, honest, and approachable, and know how to look for the answers the residents here deserve. I look forward to working for you in our endeavours to continue to make this a wonderful city in which to live. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Trentadue.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for giving us your time this evening. My name is Mary Trentadue. I'm running for City Council. I'm the mom of a small child, and I also own a small business in New West. I also have some civic experience. I was a city councilor for 2008 to 2011, and I feel like I really do have the skills that are required for a city council. I know how to move projects forward, and I know how to work with other agencies. So please vote for Trentadue on November 15th. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Ashdown.
Good evening. My name is Marge Ashdown, and I'm running in this election as an independent candidate for City Council to make a difference and help bring balance and respect back where it is needed. New Westminster is home to me. I get involved with my community and help to make it a better place to live. I'm a realtor and have been since 1991. I'm also a mom to 5 and a proud grandma to 8. Thank you to Moody Park Residents Association.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
And for you coming out this evening. Thank you.
Ms. Cartwright.
Good evening. I am Catherine Cartwright, and I'm running as an independent candidate for council. I bring 30 years business experience to the table, having run my project management company, Seabright Builders, Inc. for the last, since 1984. I'm also a two-team president of the McBride Sapperton Residents Association. Our city needs a councillor who cares about community, is capable of representing the best interests of citizens and businesses alike, and is committed to seeing New Westminster grow and prosper. I am that councillor.
Thank you very much. And finally, Mr. Puckmeyer.
Thank you. My name is Chuck Puckmeyer. I've been on council first 1996. When I'm not on council, I run a charity farm out on Barnston Island. Last year, we produced 7 tons of produce. We so far have raised 30 cattle that we've given to charity. Wow, politics and farming, they both use a shovel.
Well, on that note, we will now move on to the next section of our discussion tonight. And like speed dating, you really don't get to know much more than about 30 seconds. So hopefully this next round will allow you an opportunity to hear a bit more from the candidates. And how it's going to work is each of the candidates are grouped into 4. You can kind of see it's loosely up there. I know who's in each group. Our guest media panelists will again pose one question to each of the groups. Everyone within that group will be given an opportunity of 1 minute to provide their response to that question. Once that group has completed the question, we will move on to the next group. Depending on time, how quickly we can go, we'll try to go as much as we can. But we're going to get started right away with Bob Mackin. Your question is going to go to group number 1, and go ahead.
Crime rates are going down, but how would you manage ballooning police budgets? Would you redeploy the funding elsewhere to fight different types of crime that may not have gone down, or would you cut the budgets entirely?
We'll start with harm and move our way down.
While crime's gone down, other problems have risen in our cities. The police departments right across Canada are dealing with more and more mental illness issues and those kinds of things. We need to train our police force to be more responsive to the needs of the city's citizens. If they're not criminals, they're people with problems, and we don't deal with them particularly effectively, and I think we need to do a much better job of making our police responsive to the people of our city.
Mr. Brett.
Hi, I've been on the Community Policing Committee for 5 years, and I, for one, am very proud of the New Westminster Police Department. I've brought many issues forward to the police, and they're incredibly responsive. This committee, I've got to say, is totally under-leveraged. You probably don't even know about it. But it's a way you can sit down and interact with our police department. Budget-wise, I think it's more a matter of creating more productivity because it's very hard to roll back salaries that are already there.
Mr. Harper?
First of all, I'm really proud of our city police. I think the crime rates have dropped consistently over the last 10 years. Number two is we have community policing. We have 2 mental health officers now. We have officers that are now going out and policing the trucking system. That's all brand new this year. We have a police force that's engaging with the community on a regular basis, work consistently with the outreach workers in New Westminster on homelessness, in terms of how to treat people who are on the street and how to help people that are on the street. So in terms of the budget, I think...
Your time is up. Mr. Bell? Yeah, 1 minute.
I'd like to see more attention paid to school zones. I believe we're going to have a single zone from 1st Street to 11th Street. There's going to be a private school, an elementary school, and a middle school, and I hope a high school close to Douglas College. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate you respecting the time so we can get through the questions. Damon, your next question is going to go to group number 2, and that question will be posed first to Mr. Folka. Go ahead, Damon.
The new Anvil Centre project has been the focus of a lot of debate and discussion at City Hall over the last several years. Now that the project is complete and it appears to be over budget, do you think the building was worth taking a risk with taxpayers' investment?
That's a good question. Personally, I believe that it's probably a little bit too early to say whether or not it's actually been worth the risk. I mean, we've definitely got a beautiful building, a beautiful facility. I think it's a matter of making use of that and making sure that that money that we have spent on it, even if it is supposedly a little bit over budget, that hasn't gone to waste. So it's a matter, I think, of it's too early to say, and it's a matter of making sure that we do take advantage of that facility and what we have, because it is in place and it is there.
Ms. Kane?
So I actually have the honor of working inside the Anvil Centre with the Tourism New Westminster Visitor Centre, and some of the clients and meetings and conferences that have already happened truly do have a fantastic economic spin-off so far. It is really the missing piece of this revitalization that downtown has been moving forward. You know, this is where community, culture, and commerce come together, and I'm proud that the Anvil Centre is down there because it's going to have it's already having a great economic impact on our local economy.
Ms. Williams?
Yes, I'm quite proud of the Anvil Centre because I think it's going to be a good success. But one thing for sure, they're keeping an eye on the Anvil Centre to see how it's going to do because somebody is offering to build a hotel very nearby, which is something we will need to bring in more conferences. Also, we needed a new museum. I think that's something that we've needed for a long time. We've consolidated the arts, and of course we've got bookings right now to the end of the year and into the new year. So I think it's going to be a good success. Thank you.
Mr. McAvoy?
I'm proud of the Anvil Centre. We inherited a plan for a conference centre, and we turned that plan into a civic centre for our entire community with meeting facilities, dance facilities, arts facilities, a new museum, and all kinds of things in the centre. We needed that economic development downtown, and if you look at what used to be there, if you just look back and remember what it used to be like around the SkyTrain station and what used to be there, I think we made the right decision in taking a risk, and we took a risk, and I think that speaks to our integrity. We took a risk to provide 200 jobs in the community as part of that project.
Thank you very much. The next question will be posed to group number 3, and we'll start with Mr. McIntosh. Bob, your question.
Waterfront residents have complained for a long time about train noise. Can anything be done to mitigate this problem? What ideas might you have to help the residents down there get a good night's sleep?
Well, as a former conductor for CP Rail, I know through Kamloops we had 60-mile-per-hour track and didn't need to whistle through it. So there's no reason why this council that is elected can't work with the railways and the federal government to reduce that and get rid of it and make it a more livable city. Thank you.
Mr. Donnelly?
The trains have been there a long time and they've always been very noisy, but I believe that the city's on the right track with getting noises control over it, and it does involve probably us taking a little more liability on, but I believe it's something that's needed and necessary to be done.
Thank you very much. Mr. Palmer?
Thank you. The whistle cessation has been basically negotiated and it will cease shortly. But the other issue is the shunting of the trains in the middle of the night, and that keeps a lot of residents awake and interrupts their sleep, and a lot of people complain about that. And that is an issue we have to work on with the railway companies, and I will work to do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Palmer. Just a reminder, the hashtag is MPRA debate, and there are also more questions. If you would like to put more questions, we will have a bit of time. So if you want to do them, just raise your hand. A volunteer will grab it, and we'll bring it up to the panel. So now we'll move on to group number 4. And Bob, your question to Mr. Johnstone.
What one economic development measure would you propose to make New Westminster a better place to do business and to draw consumers and businesses from other communities?
We're doing them. The city's on the right track. We have to build the places that businesses want to be at. We have to build the community that businesses want to be at. We need to build a compact, walkable, accessible, multi-use downtown so that people have the services they want to have, so that the businesses we're working with an Intelligent City initiative in order to get better internet connection to all of our business areas. And when it comes to developing the Sapperton Green area, we got to do more of it. We got to make sure we have job-creating land that's of high value and earns taxes for the city.
Thank you very much. Mr. Ashdown.
Well, being in business in New Westminster for a number of years, I find that there is some lacking responsibilities with the city in when somebody makes an application for a license, a business license, they're given it, and then the ads go in the paper how many new businesses we've attracted. They don't say how many have left, but they do tell us how many we have attracted. I would like to see, when businesses go to the business license department, be guided through a process that, are you doing this? Why are you doing this? How are you doing this? And can we help you to make sure that you are going to survive in business and not just struggle through, waste your whole life savings, and then have to shut down. So that's what I would do for businesses, small businesses particularly. Thank you.
Ms. Block.
Thank you. I think New Westminster is on the right track and is progressing well in its growth. With a background in advertising and communications, I can only see that we have a greater need to communicate and advertise this fantastic city more. Downtown Vancouver is pretty much as full as it can get, and being only 23 minutes away from downtown Vancouver by a SkyTrain ride, we really need to advertise more and get the communication out so that people realize this is a great place to have a business and to raise a family. So communication is definitely a need. Thank you.
Ms. Trentadue.
Thank you. Small business is hugely important to a community, as is the community to local business. We need both. And I would really strongly suggest that we strike some kind of a committee that's made up of city staff, council, small business, and the chamber, so that we can really get to the heart of the matter of what's working and what's not. I think the city can go a much longer way in communicating with those groups and finding out exactly what kind of processes are going to help. We also need to do some outreach, and we need to let people know how fantastic New West is and that they want to have their businesses here. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. We're now going to go to Twitter. We have Brad Kavanaugh, who's watching us live on television tonight, and Brad is asking the question, and I'll pose it to the final group. The question is for council candidates: what is your position on the Fraser-Surrey Docks coal terminal? So we'll start with Marge Ashdown.
Thank you very much. My position, I lived in Tawasin for many years, and we had the Roberts Bank, and we did have coal dust coming over to Beach Grove. It is a concern for sure. It's a different kind of coal dust from what I understand, so it would certainly have to be looked at, and I would certainly listen to our neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Cartwright?
I actually don't think that U.S. coal should be coming through the Surrey Fraser Docks. I don't think the limited number of jobs stemming from that specific project, which I understand is about 25, is worth the potential environmental and health hazards. Unfortunately, it is largely out of our hands, and I believe that the Port Metro Vancouver has already approved it to go ahead in conjunction with the federal government. So I think now our focus will have to be on making sure that any mitigation steps are taken are monitored, and that we make sure that all the effects are effective.
Mr. Puckmeyer?
Thank you. We must oppose this with extreme prejudice, and this council has done just that. It was our resolution. We were the first local government to oppose the Port Metro Vancouver proposal. We also lobbied Metro Vancouver itself, so that Metro Vancouver went from half and half undecided, decided, to almost unanimously supporting our resolution. We were also the first local government to file intervenor status through resolution, and we lobbied very strongly up at UBCM just recently in September, and we were able to get almost a unanimous agreement, even from communities that create metallurgical coal. We're in support with New Westminster to oppose thermal coal from the United States coming to Surrey Fraser Dock. Thank you.
Looks like everyone's been really good. We have time to go hopefully for another quick round, and we're going to start again. I think Bob, we were the next questioner. Yeah, Bob, over to actually we'll start. Yeah, we'll go ahead, Harm. Question, Harm.
If elected, some of you would be on council and potentially also on Metro Vancouver's board. Would you be in favor of putting it to the people, allowing the people to decide who goes to sit on the Metro Vancouver board?
I think that's a good idea. I think the people of each community should. I think the people of each community should select the representative to the board. Although I think the mayor should have input in that. I think the people of New Westminster have the right to know who's going to be speaking for them at our Metro facilities. Thank you.
I think that you also have to consider putting on those committees the people who have the skills and the background and the knowledge that is most appropriate for that committee. It's not every decision can be made by a referendum, and sometimes when it comes to individual circumstances, you want to go with the people who have the best strengths in that area. A good team takes people with different strengths, and you're not going to have the same strengths of every person on the council, so you have to put forward the best player. You're going to want a defense, you put defense forwards, same thing.
Thank you very much. Mr. Harper?
In a similar vein, Metro Vancouver is like a representative government, and currently we have the mayor who's representing city council on that, and the mayor has to answer to council, and council makes resolutions often that the mayor ends up taking to the Metro Vancouver. It doesn't mean that the mayor has to be the person. You'll have probably recognized that when Mayor Diana Watts was first elected, the Surrey Council actually selected a city councillor to sit for the first year. But I think that whoever that person is, they got to represent the city council. And the first question I'd ask you is, how would the public actually do that? Are you going to have a referendum? Are you going to, have an online poll? I mean, how are you actually going to conduct it?
What about if at election time there is also a second ballot that said, which of these people that you're going to elect do you want to be on Metro Vancouver? Because
how do you know that?
Because one thing you might be forgetting is Metro Vancouver doesn't have its own money. Metro Vancouver has the people's money. Shouldn't the people get to decide who spends the people's money?
Yeah, but how are you going to do that? You're going to put all these people on a ballot, and then somebody who doesn't get elected ends up getting selected to the Metro Vancouver board?
No, you'd have a second ballot. You'd have a second ballot that would have names of the people who are running, and you say, okay, which one of these people who you're voting for do you also want, if they are selected, to be also on Metro Vancouver?
No, I wouldn't agree with that. I think that's something that, like I said previously, I think that person has to have the skill set. They got to represent council, and they got to represent council's views.
Mr. Bell?
I believe in the widest representation possible. I'm in favor of referendums.
Okay. The next question is coming again via Twitter, and we have a question from Vicky Turvey, who goes by @VickyTurvey, and her question is, how will council deal with the private school forcing the apartment building with affordable housing out? And that question goes to you, Mr. Foka. Go ahead.
So this is something that's definitely come up when I've been knocking on doors and talking to people. People are very concerned about what's going on with Urban Academy. In terms of the affordable housing building that's going to get knocked down, and on top of that, the increase of traffic and student population. I think that issues like this require public consultation. So it's something that we need to go to you, the people, to find out what you want to do before we go ahead and approve something like this, because it's not fair for City Council or anybody else to put something in your neighborhood that you're not ready for, that you're not going to be happy with. So if that means going back to Urban Academy and maybe try to talk to them and find a location that may be more suitable, that might be an option. But again, making sure that whatever we do, the residents of this city have a say in it, because this is your city and you should have a say.
Ms. Kate?
That's a great point, Mike. Absolutely, a lot of his points I agree with. This is where the community engagement piece comes in, right? You, the people, we need to all be more involved in some of the processes and decisions that are being made, especially when it comes around in your neighborhood. So it's important for us to collaborate, to work with the stakeholders that are involved, and make sure that whatever decisions are made, that they're in the best interest for the residents in New Westminster, and it's the best for our city.
Ms. Williams?
Yes, thank you. I've been approached by both sides in this debate, and it certainly is something that we can't solve by ourselves at council. I think it's something that we have to go back to the neighborhood. We have to engage with the Urban Academy and with the neighborhood to find out what is the best solution. Are there problems that are going to arise from expanding the Urban Academy with the traffic, with the loss of affordable housing? All these things have to be weighed before we make a decision on this part. So it's still very much up in the air for everybody. Thank you.
Mr. McAvoy?
I'm very concerned about what's happening there. We introduced this term a policy where any rental property demolished would have to be replaced in the course of a new development. We don't have a policy that applies to commercial and industrial developments, and I think we should. But at the end of the day, the entire region is fighting for affordable housing. The entire region is trying to figure out how Vancouver grows between a mountain and a border and is still going to be a place where people can have a home. We've got to do a better job when things like this come up. We've got to protect the affordable housing that we have. And frankly, I hear it on the doorsteps all the time. People want us, when we develop our new official community plan, to have a plan where people understand what can happen next door and what's allowed. I think people in the city have a right, if they buy a house, to know that that property that's zoned residential is going to stay residential, and if there's flexibility and discretion for council, that should be absolutely clear to everyone involved.
Once again, for those watching online, it's MPR Debate. That's the hashtag, and some people have asked what MPRA means. Well, they obviously weren't listening earlier. It's Moody Park Residents Association. That's what MPRA stands for. The next question will be going to group number 2, right at the far end, and that question is going to come from Mr. Beattie. Go ahead.
Okay, the District Labour Council and its endorsement of Labour-friendly candidates has been much discussed in New West leading up to this election. Do you believe Labour Council has too much, too little, or no influence on the outcome of who gets elected to City Council?
Well,
Mr.
as
McIntosh.
a union member, I did go through the process. Unfortunately, the process had already been done a few months before I went through the process. I do feel that you do get a leg up financially and getting out there. Like being a QP 1004 member, I know all the paperwork and that is going out, and all the phone calls are going out, giving the candidates a leg up on a lot of other people.
Mr. Donnelly?
I believe that any organization that runs a slate is something that New Westminster has to be concerned about. Number one is that it's not so much the money end of it, it's the fact that there's so many things that go on that don't get covered in the money areas, and I think it's important that, again, the people make a decision for independent people, because that way you don't have to worry about slates. And as far as I say, when you have independent people, you have a right to come and talk to them. They can make up their own mind with your input, and I think that overall we're better served by that type of business. And I can understand control, but total control is something I have a little problem with. Thank you.
Mr. Palmer.
My understanding is that there's 12 individuals on the council that makes the decisions as to who they're going to endorse. Unfortunately, there's only one individual that I understand comes from New Westminster. So here we have a group of people, 11 out of 12, who don't even live in the city, who are recommending people to you to vote for. That is wrong. Thank you.
And now the next question is going to be posed to Mr. Johnstone by Bob Mackin.
Would you support amalgamation of any public services with neighboring communities? Would you support any amalgamation of public services with neighboring communities to save costs?
You know, it's funny, it always comes up when talking about the fire department, and we do share services with our neighboring communities. Our fire department has shared services agreements with all of the neighboring fire departments. That we have special urban rescue, they have spill cleanup. We do already share a lot of those services between our municipalities. And we also have a lot of our utilities are shared between the utilities. So whether you need more amalgamation, you need to talk about it service by service and find out whether it makes sense for the people in New Westminster. I don't want to amalgamate our police department. I think we got a great police department, does a great job in our city. And I could talk about other issues. I don't think we should amalgamate our school board. I think that our school board does do good service for our city. So you're going to have to ask me a specific service if you think it should be amalgamated.
Mr. Ashdown?
I actually have to go along with Patrick on that one. But I do believe, I think we have a great service in New Westminster. Amalgamating, I don't think so. But sharing services, yes, I believe that's a good idea, because we do that now, and when there's a fire and we need fire help, we get it, and vice versa. So that's my opinion on that. Thank you.
Ms. Block?
Thank you. I equally echo the sentiments of the gentleman to my right. Coming to the council as a mother and a wife and someone employed in New Westminster for 20 years only brings more to the table of the appreciation of the services that we have. Should the opportunity come to us that there is a better opportunity to receive services and give services through amalgamation or through sharing, that would be a fantastic way to open debate and communication between each of the areas. Thank you.
Ms. Trentadue?
Thank you. Well, amalgamation, that often comes up in an election period. Sometimes it's a good thing and sometimes it's not. I think it's not a great, it's a difficult thing to answer across the board. It really depends on what you're talking about. I have had a chance to speak with the fire chief, and the way that the fire department is run is actually cost savings for New West, and I don't think that amalgamation would work for us. I think it's my responsibility as a city councillor to investigate various programs or services that should or shouldn't be amalgamated, but generally it often doesn't always work out. There's usually someone who's going to benefit and someone who's not, and so it's something that you really have to look at on an individual basis. Thank you.
Okay, and it looks like this could be the last question of the night, looking at the time, and it's coming in from Twitter as well, and this is coming in from Juliana Graves, and her question for the candidates is, what is your position on the current state of the Hayak Festival Association? And we'll start with Ms. Ashdown.
As many of you know, I am involved with the Hayak Festival Association, and I think it's an excellent festival association for the city. There's a lot of volunteers there who are priceless. I don't think the city could do a better job. I really don't. No comment. Thank you.
Ms. Cartwright.
The first thing I'm going to say is I just wish I knew where Jamie McAvoy was when the EFRI OCP amendment went on in Sapperton 2 years ago, given his position on RS1 zoning. And secondly, on the HIAC thing, I do have to say that it is not a subject that I'm well versed on. It's been very political, and I will have to get up to speed. I am a first-time councillor, and I can't know everything, and I'm absolutely willing to say that.
Mr. Puckmeyer.
Thank you. I was very sad to see what happened to HIAC last year. They basically imploded. There was a serious lawsuit. They ended up having to pay an executive director for wrongful dismissal. They were reeling when it came to the Christmas Santa Claus parade. They hadn't decided to do it. We decided as a council we weren't going to let it drop. We did it. We actually did it cheaper than HIAC would do it. This year, HIAC submitted a bill for $23,000 to do it. That would have been on top of all the things that the city does already. We so far to date have received $50,000 in cash and in kind from marketers that are out there. So I see HIAC could come back and do these parades, or any other group that thinks that they could provide that service. I would rather see it that way, but I think the days of giving $150,000 to HIAC are over. They need to find a creative way of coming to us and saying, we want to use our organization to get marketing sponsorship.
Thank you very much, Mr. Puckmeyer. Okay, at this stage of the discussion, Mr. McAvoy, you will have time if you want to use up your closing statement to do a rebuttal. You will have plenty of time, a whole 45 seconds to do it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to provide all the candidates with an opportunity to provide a closing statement. So if the opening was the speed dating, this is where they close the deal. So now we're going to reverse the order, and we will start the closing statements with Mr. Puckmeyer. You will have 45 seconds, and we'll go from you.
Thank you very much. First of all, I just want to say congratulations to all the candidates. This is one of the cleanest, most respectful campaigns that I've ever run in, where signs are being respected, people are being respected. There's a few nasty things said, but there is in every campaign. So I want to commend all of the candidates for putting themselves forward. Just in closing, I just want to say that I have a passion for this city. I have ever since I first ran 20 years ago. I ran because I didn't like the crime and what was happening in my neighborhood. I've seen such a resurgence of 12th Street, a graffiti program we brought in, the Eyes on the Street, the policing initiatives. I want to continue building the city to make it the greatest city for my grandchildren ever.
Thank you very much. Ms. Cartwright.
Thank you all for coming this evening. To find out more about me, please visit my website, cartwrightnewwest.com. I've been committed to New Westminster for 24 years. I bring a fair-minded approach to all that I do, and I'm no stranger to working hard to get things done. People are saying they want change. They want a balanced council. 3 independent candidates for mayor have suggested they would like to see me as part of that balanced council. Even though Jonathan has not said as much, I am proud that some of his supporters are also getting behind me. I've been fortunate to achieve broad-based appeal and will work hard to serve all of you well. On November the 15th, elect Catherine Cartwright, the independent, fresh voice council needs.
Thank you, Catherine. My name is Marge Ashdown. My main issues are transportation. The gridlocks must be worked on. Not everyone can cycle to work. Our high school, let's move forward. This is a disgrace to us and to our students. Economic development, we need businesses to come here and stay here. We need business tax dollars. Budget concerns, we cannot continue raising taxes. Pedestrian safety, this should be taught and enforced to stop, look, and listen. Let's work together. These are some of my concerns and some reasons to vote for Marge Ashdown at the top on Saturday, November 15th.
Ms. Trentadue?
Someone earlier said that tonight is your last opportunity to get involved and hear from the candidates, and I actually disagree with that. You have 4 days to reach out, and I would welcome anyone to give me a call or email me. I've received a lot of these in the last few days. I'm happy to meet with you. I'll come to your home. That sounds weird, but it's not. And if you have a question or something you want to know more about me, I know it's hard to get a grasp of everyone here tonight. I am happy to spend the time with you. So you do have 4 days left to make a very big decision. Thank you so much for your time tonight. I think this is a great opportunity. It's been pretty respectful, and I really appreciate that. And I just want to say that New West is a fantastic city. I'm so glad to live here. I want to contribute and make it a better place, and I have the experience to do so. Thank you.
Ms. Block.
Thank you. As you leave here tonight, I hope you'll think about the next 4 years ahead of us. Look to electing a balanced council with independent members like myself who will work for you and represent you. Mark Twain once said, "If voting made any difference, they wouldn't let us do it." I believe it does make a difference. It's time for City Council to gain some fresh energy, experience, and ideas. When you vote, please mark your balance for that difference. I'm Tracy Block. Thank you.
Mr. Ashdown.
I'm going to try and squeeze a whole bunch of stuff in here. I'm going to talk real fast. Anyway, what I would bring to the city and to council is control of overspending, to hold a line on taxes, insist on equal representation when negotiating labor contracts, removing the barrier creating unfair and anti-contracting out living wage, doing away with the combative manner in which we deal with our neighbors. Infrastructure improvements like dilapidated sidewalks and streets have to be looked at. Working collaboratively with our neighbors in province regarding their traffic, which results in our gridlock. More transparency from council and staff, productivity improvements from staff and supervisors, operational costs of our prized Anvil Center. And just a quick, we need a balance on council to protect taxpayers
Thank you very much, Mr. Ashdown.
Self-interest groups.
Thank you very much. Mr. Johnstone.
Hi, I want to thank the moderators, the hosts, and the organizers for this, and thank you all for being very gentle to all us newbies who are doing this for the first time. I love this city because we get engaged and we speak out in this city on issues, whether it's the coal terminal or Pattullo Bridge, or it's just the impact of the livability of our local neighborhood. People in New Westminster get involved and they get loud, and that's a great part about this city. So I've been working hard, I've been volunteering, I've been speaking out in this city for the last decade, and I'm ready to take that energy and commitment to council and keep on talking loud for this city. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Palmer.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for taking the time to come out tonight. My name is Gavin Palmer, and my vision for New Westminster, one that I'll be working towards, will be to be able to move within our community without having to fight truck and commuter traffic. To have a viable business community where we can find all the goods and services we need and want without leaving our city. To have a city hall which delivers city services pleasantly, efficiently, and with minimal delay. To have a new high school for our children to study, in which we are all proud of. And to have a balanced city council which listens to the citizens and acts in their best interest. I'd like to thank the Moody Park Residents Association for putting this on tonight. On November 15th, please remember the color purple for Palmer, and please cast a vote for Gavin Palmer for positive, progressive, practical governance.
Thank you very much, Mr. Palmer. Mr. Donnelly.
Thank you very much. I'd like to continue my experience and my community involvement, as I've been 18 years on City Council, and I feel I've made a contribution. I have a more contribution I'd like to make in the future. I'd like to bring balance to council, a different point of view, a way for you to come to speak to somebody that won't be tied to any particular cause or anything like that, and I wish that you would do that. And I thank you very much, as I said, for coming out tonight in the Moody Park Residents Association and vote one of your 6 votes for Calvin Donnelly, a name you know and can trust in New Westminster. Thank you.
Mr. McIntosh.
Hello, I have a strong understanding of the policing, how garbage works, how all the sidewalks, sewers, and water works, since I've been involved in all those different things. I have built a house here in New Westminster, so I've understood it going through the process of going through the Heritage Committee, building the house, getting the permits, and getting a variance to make sure my renters had off-street parking so I wouldn't negatively affect my neighbors. I am the next generation of McIntosh and proud to say that. So please hold 1 vote for Scott McIntosh. Thank you.
Mr. McAvoy.
First of all, to the candidates who support dealing with the coal issue, protecting our environment and economy with jobs, a strong program for economic development, dealing with homelessness, and a council that works with a school district to get those school sites working, I thank you all for the endorsement. It's easy to stand up and say that things can just be done by magic, but they can't be done by magic. Martin Luther King said that all progress is perilous. And I think New Westminster is in that situation. You've lived here for a while, you know what the crime was like, you know what the empty stores were like, you know what the social issues are like, and things are changing, and things are getting better. And they're getting better because there's a group of people on the council who work in a positive way. We don't sit there and throw ideological slogans at each other.
Thank you very much.
We work hard and we work for you.
Ms. Williams, thank you.
Thank you, and thank you all for coming. And tonight I would like to help, I would like to ask for your support. I have a master's degree in administration. I am ethical and I am experienced. I want to work on the Wait For Me Daddy project because of 4 reasons. We're going to put in a grand march, some memorial bricks, and we're going to hopefully have a national historic site declared. And the 4th reason, I'm going to keep it a secret. So you'll have to vote for me if you want to find out what that is. But please vote for Lori Williams because I care about my city. We're all people. This is our city, and we're all in this together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Kate.
I love this city. I believe in the city. I always have, and I always will. I really hope on November 15th you'll spark the vote for Tej Kainth. I'm here to spark conversations, bring a fresh perspective and some new energy on city issues and implementing some creative ideas amongst residents and business leaders as well. I'm ready to serve. I'm ready to work. I was born ready. And I really hope on November 15th you'll spark the vote Kainth for council. And I promise you that I'll always make sure that I use my 5 senses. Will it make community sense? Will it make financial sense? Does it make business sense? Does it create social sense? And most of all, does it create a sense of pride? Thank you, New Westminster, for raising me. I promise I'll make you proud.
Mr. Polka.
I could come up in front of all of you and make a lot of big, bold promises, but I'm not going to do that today. Instead, I'm going to make promises that I think are not only important to you, but that if elected, I know I can keep. I promise to bring a passion and desire each and every day to solve the problems that matter most to you. I promise to listen to your concerns and work with you to find practical, sustainable solutions. I promise to advocate for you and for those that feel too marginalized or too disengaged to speak up, to make sure that your voices are heard. I promise to be open, honest, available, and accountable to you, and not just during election time. And if elected, I promise to bring a positive brand of politics to City Hall in the hopes of bringing real, tangible changes that will help move our city forward and allow it to thrive now and into the future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Bell.
Well, I'm running for both council and school board because it's connected. 60 years ago, the council closed the school board. They palmed off a cemetery where the present school stands and got the location for the current City Hall, which was the Duke of Connaught High School. I want to see that school down there close to Douglas College. We owe that to the next generation. Think, justice, what is the right thing to do?
Thank you very much, Mr. Harper.
Thank you, and thank you all for coming out. I just want to comment on the issue of being balanced, because being balanced doesn't mean to say that you need to have an equal number of political stripes on council. Being balanced means what kind of program you're putting forward. The issue of the social programs. We've got 300 childcare spaces in this city. Homelessness has been reduced. Downtown has been revitalized with an economic development plan that's actually brought fruition. We have the Brewery District, we have Sapperton Green, we have the shops at New West. Those are all employment-based programs that we've developed in this city. Take a look at Sapperton. We have over 750,000 square feet of new light industrial warehouse district that's now going to bring taxes to the city, and we've already done it with the Western Forest Product Lands.
Thank you very much,
already.
Mr. Harper. Thank you. Mr. Brett.
Thanks, everyone, for coming out. I was on the president of the Queen's Park Residents Association for 4 years. I think it's important that in a city that requires economic development that we have people with business experience and background on the council. Something I'm really passionate about is the idea of creating New Westminster as a hub for technology startups. As an entrepreneur who started a technology company myself and was involved in the venture capital world, I have a lot of connections, and I've already started conversations with people in Vancouver to see if we can bring some of that vibrancy to New Westminster. But I need to get elected first. So on November 15th, don't forget, vote for Brett.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brett. And finally, Mr. Woldring.
I think I neglected to mention my name. I'm Harm Woldring. I'm running as an independent candidate for City Council. I spent 7 years on the British Columbia Association of Professional Economists. I spent 30 years running businesses for other people and for myself. I'd like to take those experiences and bring them to work for the people of New Westminster. I love this city. My mother came here in 1971 when she was widowed, and she raised her family in this city because she started a business here. This city used to support small businesses. I don't believe it does a good job of that anymore. I run one in this city, and it's a difficult prospect. Half the city's retail spaces are empty. We need to put stores in there, but to do that, we need to make fair tax policy that makes it possible to make a living as a small businessman or woman in this city. Thank you very much, and vote for me on the 15th of November.
Thank you very much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, who would have ever thought with 30 politicians on stage that we would actually end at the time that I said we were going to end? But I just want to thank all the politicians for doing a great job. Thank you so much for putting your name forward. It's not an easy job, and if you know how hard they do work, they do put a lot of hours. So good luck on November 15th. I also want to thank Bob and Damon for their good questions this evening. Thank you so much. I'd also like to thank the volunteer crew tonight from the New Westminster, newwest.tv, and they based on all the Twitter feed, there was a lot of people watching tonight, so thanks very much. And I want to thank MP Peter Julian as well. Nobody can say that our MP doesn't work hard. He's here volunteering his time tonight, so thank you very much for that. And lastly, before I let you go, I just want to thank Chris Campbell and the Moody Park Residents Association for putting this on. This is a wonderful event. Thank you so much. And without further ado, don't forget Saturday is voting day, and make sure, like the candidate said, if you have any more questions, I'm sure they're going to hang around here for a little bit. But thanks again for listening to me, and we'll see you around in the neighborhood. Thank you so much. Worked out well.
Oh, yeah, you did a terrific job.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it all worked. It was right on time.
And it was 5 seconds.